Hey, what's up? This is Paul Solt from Super Easy Apps. Welcome back to Dev Life. This is sort of me talking about different things that I'm working on, sort of giving you some behind the scenes, working on legacy apps or working on new apps. I've got some in progress for Swift, and I've got some that Apple's removing from the App Store that I need to get updated, and I really want to use on my phone again because I use them to create abstract art, which I've printed and put on aluminum panels, sort of like the panel behind me. And that's a picture of Row that's, I can't even point to it, that's right back there. And you can't even see it because of my screen. But if we move over there, you can see that I've got another image back there that was actually generated on the app that I'm trying to update. And so that's kind of what we're trying to work through right now. And I want to show you what that process is going to look like and just sort of take you step by step. So we made some changes. I actually didn't commit any of those changes. So I'm going to make sure that I commit them so that I have sort of tracking what I'm doing. And there was a lot that I did, and I probably should have limited some of the changes, but it looks like we can just commit the one file. So this is typically what I would do. For this one, this was updating the UI so that it works and it calculates the number of frames that I need. So for this get message, what I'm going to just say that I updated UI for variable width thumbnails. Now, this is just for display. The actual render operation, I think, uses a different value. So that's something I might need to look at on the iPhone. Because I know on the iPhone, I was never expecting this to have a 3x resolution. And so that scale factor makes it a bigger thumbnail. And every sort of increase in size takes more time to render. So I might have to cap it at 2x so that it's not super slow to render some of those low resolution things. I'll just have to look at that later on. But this was updating the frame logic using the number of columns in column width to create variable width tiles. And then I also removed the frames on the iPad, which is something I have to do on my photo table app as well, because it's kind of gone out of style. And that's one of the things that's really challenging with apps. So I'll commit that. And then the other one, this was just sort of cleaning up all of these print statements. I'm just going to commit all of these, cleaning up noisy debug print statements. And these were just getting in the way of me seeing things. And I still need to clean up more. Ideally, it would be nice to have log levels. And there's other things that I could use to do something like that so that I can squelch some of the noise and focus on new features or debugging. All right, so I'll commit that, and then I'll push those changes just by clicking the sync button. So the GitHub tool is pretty handy at syncing those changes. So now they're going up to the cloud, and I've got that off my machine, which is really important because I'm hoping to drop off this laptop to Apple to fix. My B key is super annoying, and the B key, every time I type the B key on the keyboard, almost every time, depending on where I type it, it does multiple entries. So you can see if I do B, and then if I do spaces, I mess that one up. But it's super annoying when I just go back and forth on the keyboard. So working on my desktop where I have my keyboard, I've got one of these guys, I don't have that issue. But when I'm teaching, so I'm teaching at RIT, I take my laptop over here and then it messes up on me and it's super annoying. So I'm hoping to drop that off because I'm getting my battery replaced in my iPhone, hopefully tomorrow if I can fit it in. And then I'll have them hopefully replace it, but it's going to take like 7 days. So I'm going to be 7 days without my higher performance laptop. I'm going to switch over probably to my other laptop, and I might have to use another Mac to do some of the video rendering, which I do have and I haven't used in a while and I haven't updated. So I'm going to have to update that tonight so that I have a development machine that I can use at work as well as one that I can use when I'm teaching at RIT. I need some more coffee. That's just water. So I used my coffee app. I brewed some coffee. This is a Hario, and I'll just fill up. One of my issues is I just don't have enough time to do everything that I want to do. So I want to update these apps. I want to be coding more. And today I want to sort of focus on this, and let's fix this up. So where are we? I was playing around with collection views, and this one actually is using a collection view. So I talked about in the last one, I manually created the collection view that created the image grid off of a tutorial that was on Ray Wenderlich's site a long time ago, like 7-8 years ago. And now this is bugging out because I never expected this to have multiple widths. Again, I updated this when there was the iPhone 5 and maybe 5S, and then the iPad, and it was always fixed sizes. So that simplified the logic. And so now we have to jump in here to the page controller, and I've got these page cells that are set up. So this is prior to size classes and all that jazz. So I've got these little tiles that sort of fit, and that fits into my collection view. And we can take a look at how the collection view is going to look on iOS. So the collection view is really just constrained to the center, and it should stretch to the side, but I don't know if it does on iPhone. I wonder if I just centered it on iPad. Maybe that's what I did. That's why it looked a little bit different. But the issue that we're having is that the collection view, and I don't know how simple this is going to be to fix, but I was playing around with this with another application for one of my online courses, and I think I figured out what I need to change in order to get this to work. So this collection view has some properties associated with it, and if they're all defined here, they're kind of static values that aren't based on the size of the device. So the content's going to need to be resized. And currently, what device are we on? We're on the iPhone 8. So the iPhone 8, if I just look at the view size, there's so many devices to keep track of now, or for whatever reason, this is, oh, wait, what? iPhone 8. That doesn't look like an iPhone 8 to me. Is that still an iPhone 5? Oh boy. So you can see something is not right with how this is rendering. I'm just clicking around. I'm wondering if my auto layout constraints are just not well defined. And we've got some warnings here. Anything on this view itself? I don't see anything. But this is starting to look a little gnarly. Okay. All right, so I want a specific height. I'm wondering if I should take a look at the page cell and sort of see what's going on here. So I've got this tutorial screen. It's supposed to educate the user, and this stuff should all be just sort of defined. I've got sort of these growing areas. I probably would do this differently now that I've sort of figured things out, but I set it up so that there'd be potentially up to 3 lines, and it doesn't automatically adjust the font, which could be a problem. So ideally, I think we'll just leave it as is. That looks pretty good to me. It's just the page view controller is looking a little bit funky when I switch between the size classes. I'm wondering, do I need to enable something? There's no trait variation, so that could be a thing. So this was back in iOS 7, so let's enable that. But I think that's just going to give me iPad support. So something's funky with my... If I make this something like 50% of the screen height, I'm wondering if that would work better. Let's get rid of the bottom bar and take a look at this. Um, oh, its safe area is not on. That could also be affecting things. I just turned that on. So I turned on both of these options, which I didn't have before. And now let's see if that's any different. Okay, I still think I might need to redo some of these constraints, and it's like behaving super weird. Got a lot of C++ code in here. I'm just going to clear the constraints on this. And then we'll repin this into the top area. I'll just center it. See, how do I want to center it vertically? And then we'll do leading space and trailing space. Add those constraints. And then I want the height to be based on the height of the top area, maybe. So we'll do equal heights. And then I'm going to do uh, 70% fill, maybe. And then see how that looks. Maybe a 60. And try the other device. I don't know why it's rendering weird. I'm wondering how this one is pinned. I might have to do that all over again. Yeah, those buttons are in the below the safe area, which is not good. So hopefully I can set that, and I don't know if it's smart in how it pins it, or if I need to stretch out something below this section and just pin that there. Okay, so what is going on with this guy on the top? I think I want this to stretch to the super view. There's going to be no clickable stuff, so I don't think I want it to go to the safe area. We'll see how that looks. I'll just run it again. I might want this bottom to go all the way down to the bottom, but I don't know if I'll get like that weird bar. I really would like the toolbar to stretch out, and I haven't looked that up at all. Let's switch this on over to the iPhone X, and we'll try that again. Jump into the tutorial. All right, so good. The toolbar did stretch. And next up, we've got something going on with the collection view, the sizing of the elements. And so that's where I'll have to jump into the actual code. And there's a lot of stuff in here. Do I have a reference to the collection view? It's called collection view. So I'm doing the control command up arrows to sort of switch around. In here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask that collection view, and I do underscores in Objective-C. So there should be a content view or content size, and I need to resize this somehow. So I'll think about that, and then no, I think I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna jump into the code a little bit more, and then come back once I make some sort of changes, because I'm not exactly sure what it's doing, but I'm pretty sure it's based on the spacing, and I might need to customize the flow layout. So there's a collection view dot collection view layout. I might need to set up to a new flow layout so that I can control the cell size. This is going to need to stretch to new device sizes. So that's something that's different. Again, I created the interface when it was just iPhone 5 and the original iPads, and now we've got different form factors, which is making this a little bit more complex logic. And I've got a lot of legacy stuff in here. It's not fully supported with all of the auto layout changes. So I'm going to take a look at that. I'm going to take a stab. I'm going to pause this for now, and then I will come back. So I'll be back in a few moments. For you, it will be very quick. Okay, so I'm back and sort of doing some diagnostics. I got it starting to work better. It's still a little bit finicky. There's some more stuff that I have to do to get this to work. Kind of trying to remember how to do Objective-C coding. It's been a while since I've actually written a ton of Objective-C code. I really don't remember how to use it. Plus, the APIs are a little bit different. And so I'm trying to get it so that I can use this for size classes, so I can have just one interface file. I don't know if that's going to work out. Still trying to sort of triage some of the issues. Depending on what size class I click on, that's changing some of the attributes of the elements in here, as well as the content cell size, which then sort of makes the rendering look weird. So I figured out that, like, if I click on a bigger cell and then I run the app, it actually breaks, I believe. I think the view gets changed over here, and then it breaks when I run it again on the iPhone, so it behaves a little bit differently. So I have to clean that up. Now we're seeing that the scroll view is actually ginormous. It's meant for the iPad, and it's just because I clicked on it in my interface builder. I don't have a fix for this yet, but I'm going to dig into this more, and so I'll sort of update you on that. But to get this to work again, I just had to click on a littler iPhone, a smaller iPhone, and then click on the iPhone 8, which is the one I'm, or I guess the iPhone X. In doing that, it tends to somewhat fix the issues. It still looks a little bit funky to me, like it's not quite working as I expect, but then it displays better on the iPhone. The other thing that's not working right now is that it is not letting me hit done. So the logic for that just resets it back to the beginning, which isn't helpful. So I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit more. And this is sort of, anytime you want to use a collection view as sort of a full screen element, it's a little bit more challenging than if you know exactly how big the elements are. And that's because we have to resize this to fit. And so I did that. I grabbed my Swift code because I was at a loss for what to do. And I just went through what I did with Swift for a full screen layout, and I converted that into Objective-C. A little bit different. Some things are named a little bit differently. You can't do them all the same way. I really do appreciate Swift for that, and I set that up. So that got some of the stuff working. There's still probably the content size I might need to adjust. I don't think, am I doing that right now? I don't think I'm doing that right now, so I might need to adjust that. That's going to be the layout, and actually probably setting that. I have no idea if this will work, but if I do something like this and we set this to the same size that I did up top, because basically I want the item size and the content size to be the same, which is kind of a strange way, I guess, of using a collection view. And it's a different thing. So this is called collection view. So let's just rename that and see if this does anything. This might prevent the issue where I'm clicking on these different things in the XIB file and that's messing things up, or it might totally break everything. So if it does fix things, then that would be nice. It would be nice if my next button works, but that's another thing that I'm going to fix. So I'll just add that to here. All right. So, and I removed some more print statements. There was just some more garbage. So now I just have one or two more to remove. It looks like one of the assets of mine is not loading properly. So I'll have to investigate that. But I have considerably less information that is spamming me every time I run the app. All right. So that's it for this dev update. Hopefully, in the next one, I'll have a little bit more progress with the Artwork Evolution app. And then maybe you'll see a little bit more about the Timer app. Hopefully, by then, we'll have something. And then I want to transition to working on my coffee app, which I've been putting off for so long. And it just feels like it's time to get that going because I really do enjoy my coffee. All right. So if this was fun, if you learned anything, let me know. If you have any questions, just comment down below, either about Objective-C or Swift, and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you have an awesome day. I'll catch you around.